Hello and welcome to April's Amiami recap. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. You can get notified every time I post one of these Amiami recap videos, or in fact, any of my other videos, which I do put a lot of effort into, so I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. But now, let's look at some figures. Yo, Jack Sparrow Nendo, sailing ships and swashbuckling dudes and whatever. Whatever he does. I goof on Megahouse a lot, it's a recurring thing, but I actually kind of like this one. I think I'm being swayed by the particle effects coming out of the gourd. Sand magic, I assume. I find the pose to be pretty interesting, and overall I just kind of like it. This Milim is kind of interesting, I guess. It's a bunny girl that isn't done by freeing in the B-style range. This is a 1/7 scale by Q's Q. I absolutely love the little slime and whatever hell this is. I also really like the sculpt of the bunny ears. They're really floppy and sort of have more personality than you would usually find in a figure like this. So yeah, I'm pretty positive on that. It feels like they really cared to get this right, and it shows. I honestly have no idea what this is. This is an abomination. It's trying to be cool, but it looks so ugly. Maybe some Yu-Gi-Oh fans would appreciate this more than me. Who the hell's this creepy dude? Why is he creeping like that? God damn. This is a 1/7 scale from Wings Inc. And that's not to be confused with Wing, who is a completely separate company. Wings used to be called Soyoksha. For some reason they changed their name to something very similar to an existing manufacturer, which is troubling. I appreciate what they're going for with this base. I just think it's gonna be ugly. I think the colors of the base just don't work well together. I feel like they haven't done enough to sell the world of the figure that they're going for, and because of that, to me, it looks a bit lackluster. She's not the most exciting figure either. Overall, for 170 bucks, I think it's a pass from me. Here is Furyu with a $300 rem, and while this does look very, very pretty, it's only what, like $30 or $40 away from the crystal dress version by Shibuya Scramble Figures, which looks just so much more amazing and grandiose. I feel like it makes sense to get this one instead of Furyu's, but we'll talk through it. This dress has some really, really nice layering going on. If you look at here where there's like this belt part, you know, that's the first layer, and then under that you have this white cloth. Under that you've got like these two tassels coming out. Under that there's this big pointy blue piece which has this white trim, which may be another layer. Under that there's this nice patterned blue piece, and then there's another solid blue, and then another ruffly white layer. I think that's 8 layers in total. I'm sure this is very technically challenging from a sculpting and manufacturing point of view, so I can see why it's $300. I'm just unsure if you want to spend that amount of money on this specifically. It really is super pretty and detailed, and maybe a rem that you want to splash for. Have I talked about this B-girl before? She's a 1/12 scale action figure, kind of like a Figma, I would assume. But I think this design is so cool. The contrasting black and yellow looks really nice. And then seeing all the mechanical parts that make up the stinger is just really, really cool. I also really enjoy the wings. I like that they're confident enough to show the articulation. You don't see this in like the promotional art for any Figmas or anything. They're just like, oh yeah, it can do these 3 set poses, but damn, Snail Cell Studio seems really confident in what they've built here. Anyway, if anyone has any experience with Snail Cell Studio, please let me know. I'm kind of really interested in this. It's been a hot minute since the last time I saw a Kurumi figure, and this one is by Kai Tendo. While I recognize the name, I can't think of anything else they've done. I don't know why on this one specifically, but I really like her face. But it's kind of different to all the other Kurumi faces I've seen, which makes me think it might be wrong. But I really like it anyway. I feel like I'm not completely sold on the composition, with the base being all the way over here instead of more directly under her, but it's shiny and gold and looks pretty, so I really dig this figure. Whether it's worth 180 bucks compared to all the other Kurumis on the market, which are probably cheaper than that, is, I guess, up to you. But for me personally, I think this is a nice looking Kurumi figure. Is what I believe to be a new Onmyoji figure, which is always exciting. Onmyoji figures always have really cool bases. And as cool as this one is, I feel like it's really on the lower side of what these bases can be. I don't know a whole lot about this fella, but he looks cool, and they always pack these full of details. I think for this one, looking at the back is maybe the best part. You have all these like little strands flowing out from the back of the figure, as well as the nice feathers on the wings. But you don't really get the full picture of it from the front. But man, that really does look super, super cool. I don't know how anyone could really dislike these. I'm surprised to see that this Kirito is supposedly a new figure from Ulta. I would have guessed it was a re-release. Honestly, the pose is a bit lacking. They even pair him with this Asuna who's doing a little floaty, cute thing, and like, why can't Kirito be doing that? Why can't he be slashing someone, or I don't know. From a production standpoint, it seems like they're varying all the different blacks and dark shades, which is very much appreciated, but I have to knock it for the pose. They can do more with Kirito. Ulta also put up pre-orders for this blue Asuna. Comparing this one to the Kirito, it has so much more into it, and it's so much more visually interesting. The whole composition of this, I think, just works a bit better. The blue hair, I think, really just draws you in. It's kind of hard to tell from these pictures, but I do believe that this blue trim here is metallic. I love how they're playing with different finishes and textures to make sure that each of the blues feels unique. And I think it adds a lot of depth and makes this as appealing as it is. As your lead figures are always so expensive. Strangely enough, I don't like it that much from the front, but I do really adore the back of it for some reason. Here it makes it much more easier to appreciate the sculpting they've put into the dress itself. Probably my favorite part is her hair comes out the top of like the hat thing with this bow, and that's just like really cute. I think from the front, it kind of just looks a little bit boring. There's a lot about it that I do like, and I think as a whole it's well put together, but just seems like they've been too faithful to the original artwork and haven't taken enough risks to make it appealing as a figure. This figure of Exia from Arknights is really cool. This is a 1/7 scale by Goodsmile Arts Shanghai. And first impressions like this, it's like, wow, that's a lot of stuff going on. That's a lot of guns. I think from directly front on, from this angle, it's like amazing. But the illusion gets shattered a bit once you do look at the back. And it's just like this random clear stand that's holding up all of these guns. Either way, I love this figure. These clothes have really nice wrinkles in them. I think the colors they've used are really, really nice and work super well together. As a whole, like, come on, look at that! Even the colors they've used on the base work really nicely with the figure itself and don't distract from it at all. I super duper love this and hope it turns out really nice. I really like this base and this effect part. I just hate the character design. If it was just a different character, I think I'd really, really like this figure, but it kind of just looks goofy as hell. But I guess if you are a fan of Kimono Jihen, you might have a better idea than me. And this might be something good to pick up. Megahouse put up a couple more Beastar scales. There's Legacy without a shirt, which kind of creeps me out, and there's Louis. He's got some swagger, I kind of do like him. I think they've done a really good job on the red of both the jacket and the pants. The shading and sculpting there looks really nice. Overall, I think I'm pretty happy with this. He is kind of small though, only 19 centimeters up to the tip, and I assume that's to the tip of the antlers. So for the money you're paying, you're not getting a whole lot of figure for it. We do have a couple of Hero Academia figures. Both of them are by Belfine, even though it says Takara Tomy on the listing here. I think they just have the license for all of the Hero Academia stuff, and for whatever reason they put their name on everything even though they're not actually manufacturing it. The base looks kinda meh, and when they need to prop her feet up with these little clear acrylic blocks, it doesn't look that great. Her face is creeping me out the more I stare at it. I don't know if it's wrong or if I just haven't watched the show for such a long time. Personally, I think you're better off going for either of her pop-up parades depending on which outfit you want her to be wearing. Flicking between these, you really can see that her eyes look wrong. Even her hair color might be wrong. Whatever. The Sue figure also went up for pre-order, but this is a re-release. I really quite like it, even though I don't like Sue that much. But one thing I do want to mention here, unrelated to this figure specifically, is that despite this series being called Amiami Recap, I don't actually use them for buying any figures, really. You may or may not know, I have a CD Japan affiliate link, and that's not there just to like make me a little bit of money on the side. It's because I actually use CD Japan and I believe in them as a company, and I think they're really, really good. So to demonstrate that, I'll use this figure as an example. So on Amiami, she's 12,600 yen. If we look at her on CD Japan, you can see she's 900 yen cheaper than Amiami, and they're also running this Golden Week coupon right now, which will let you save an additional 1,000 yen, which means you'd basically get a figure for maybe $20 to $30 cheaper than it would be over on Amiami. So once again, I'm not sponsored, but if you do want to buy figures from this video, I would highly recommend checking out CD Japan and using my affiliate link that I put in the description of all of my videos. I get a little bit of money from it and you're saving on figures, which I think is a deal that works out for both of us. Goodsmile have two versions of the same figure for BB. There's this one and this one. Personally, I prefer this one more. I think it's just got a lot more personality to it. Through the facial expression, the sign, the colors, and the base. What the hell is this? She's like bending at a right angle. It looks so wrong. And not only that, her hair is just going straight back. What is she, a bird or something? It's so strange. It looks completely fine here because you can't really see the depth of it, but God, that's a weird looking figure. I appreciate what Megahouse is going for with this figure by including this light up base. I just think they've gone the worst way about it. There must have been a better way than just putting the figure on like a circle with LEDs on it. I also think it's not going to look that good in person. I think the color is just going to blow out. It also seems a bit disingenuous when they have these renders where it's obviously with the red light on the base, but they don't show it. There's just one photo without the lights and you can see it's pretty lackluster, I think. Furyu is here with a traditional Japanese wedding dress version of Amelia. And I guess Puck, who is very, very tiny. I feel like it'd be better if they didn't include him at all. But anyway, I'm not hugely into these traditional dresses because they really are just solid white with a pattern on them. Also, this hat she wears kind of looks like Baby Bell cheese, and I can't get that out of my head. It looks so weird. You can see Amelia here with Ram and Ram. I think those two both look a bit better because they have the parasols, which I think add some color to it that it really needs. And you can see with Amelia, they've just gone with straight white, you know, white hair, white dress, white base, and it's just too much. Ooh, Flandre. I don't know anything about Toho. I listened to Bad Apple like once, and now I'm a Toho fan or something. And this is really cute. I love her rainbow wings or whatever. It's a really cute pose, and I think there's a lot of little details in here, like this pumpkin man with a top hat. It also seems kind of pricey, but I think if you're a Toho fan, you'd probably be able to easily justify spending that sort of money on it. I am not a fan of this Shimarin figure by Wanderer. It's called Birthday version. I don't know what part of this screams birthday, but I also don't know what part of this screams Shimarin. The dress looks really awkward. I don't know why she's got a basket of flowers and fruit. I don't know why that lantern looks so antiquated. A lot of this confuses me, and I also don't think it looks good. I think all of the normal looking Shimarins are a way better pick than this one. For whatever reason, alongside Racing Miku, they have like this Thailand Racing Miku thing going on. I don't know why it's a thing, but they keep making them. I think the concept for this figure is fine, it looks like she's falling over. Especially when you see it from the back, it looks like she's just mid-fall going, "Urgh." With some carefully crafted photos like this, it does look really quite cute. I will say I do like the gradient on the hair though, and being accented by the pink, I think really makes the figure stand out more than it probably should. Is this a Shibuya Scramble figure? I don't know how they pick which one is should be a scramble and which one isn't, but in any case, this is still done by Alpha Satellite and still distributed by Eastream. I'm always on the fence about figures that have two characters in them like this, because it basically doubles the price. And if you don't like both characters or how both characters turn out, I feel like it can very easily ruin the figure. They're pretty rare to come by, but when they can do things like this, where Yui is like wrapped around Yukino, I think there's a lot of value in that to have them both be sold as a set together. At the very least, the sculpt seems quite competent. There's a lot of riffly ruffles on those shirts and everything. The seams that connect Yukino's arms to her body here and here seem kind of obvious, so maybe that's something to also take into consideration with this figure. I don't think it's that much better, if at all, than either of Yui and Yukino's existing figures, but if you are in the market to get a set of them, this might be a good option, since it is quite a rare opportunity to have a figure with two characters like this. Oh, finally we're at this one. Yes! So I noticed this figure the day it popped up on Amiami, and I've been very excited to talk about it, because I love it. I still haven't played Genshin, but I love this figure nonetheless. Just look at it. I think it's self-explanatory why it's so good. Look at the base, look at these things. I don't know what they are, they've got flowers on their heads. And instead of the big one having a flower on its head, it's her. It's genius. Is this not the cutest thing you've ever seen? This is what I want figures to be all the time. Just, this makes me happy. I can't put it into words. I really hope MiHoYo is up to the task of manufacturing this to the same standard as the prototype. It's so cute. I might have to buy it. I just want to point out that this Nero figure is getting released. I've always really liked it. The hell is this Mari figure? Her mouth is just like basically a straight line. Looks like that emoji. And the base? Like, what the hell is the base? I don't get it. This isn't something I expected to see from Idolmaster. I don't really get what the base is supposed to be. The figure itself looks kind of plain. There's some cute stuff on it like the heart buttons, but there's not a whole lot to it. I feel like I usually do like these Idolmaster figures, but this one hasn't hit the mark for me at all. So over like the past week I've been playing Nier Replicant, and I really like Boy Nier's design. It just seems like a better version of 9S. So I saw this action figure go up for pre-order and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like this guy, but I've heard very bad things about Bring Arts. Looking at this face, looks really wrong. The unfortunate thing is, like, I think the rest of the figure, as it is, like these poses, I really enjoy. So it's a shame that the figure might not turn out that good, but I kind of like the look of it, but I do wish we had a better selection of Nier figures that weren't produced by Square Enix, because it kind of feels like they have no idea what they're doing. There's another one by MiHoYo from Hawkeye 3rd. I don't know what she's sitting on, because it's not the sword, because the sword is still in the air. If the only attachment point is in the middle and on her foot, I'd be very scared about it. The details are kind of cool, but the whole outfit kind of looks very flat, which I guess is fine if it's part of the clean sci-fi aesthetic. But aside from just looking kinda cool in general, I guess upon closer inspection the figure doesn't really hit all the right marks for me. I just want to point out that the Bondrude Nendo comes with some elevators for your Nanachi Nendo. It's so evil! The real cursed part about it is that it's a clear effect sheet, which is god awful. Kotobukiya has finally got around to Cynthia in the Artifacts J Pokemon line. But something about Cynthia just doesn't look right to me. Keep in mind, I've never really liked Cynthia's character design that much. Certainly not as much as other people. Cynthia just seems a bit too, oh my Garchomp will beat you, oh. I don't know, maybe it's just me. For me personally it's not that exciting, but I'm glad they've finally gotten around to doing Cynthia and Garchomp. Yo, this Pui Pui Molcard changes into a carrot. Wait, what's the white one turn into? What the hell? Oh, is it a watermelon? I thought it was a zombie. I feel like this came out of nowhere. Good old Hamtaro. As far as I'm aware, the series ended like 15 years ago. Is there any reason other than like nostalgia that they're even making this? The sitting body is like super duper cute, especially this one where he's stuffing his face full of... The standing up body just looks wrong. I think it might be the arms going out of his body, rather than being in his body, like, that's my guess, but yeah, Hamtaro. Ooh, legs. Limited edition Kankole legs. I do like the detailing on this little box. I don't know what it is. Maybe the one thing I'm not into is the face. I don't know what it is about it. It just doesn't sit right with me. This is like the best character in The Mandalorian and you can't tell me otherwise. I don't know what this character is, but this whole thing looks like some knockoff Nendoroid, but somehow way cuter. Ooh, damn, I wasn't expecting this base to be so cool. This is Asuka from the final Evangelion movie. You have her orange hair and the red base kind of sandwiching the white, which I think is really cool compositionally. And overall, it's kind of just a really cool, confident pose that I would expect out of Asuka. From the intended angle here, I think her face looks absolutely fine, but once we get around to the side, it loses a bit of its punch. Anyway, overall I do like it, and I think it's a good option if you want an Asuka figure where she's not in the classic red plug suit. I'm once again disappointed by Goodsmile Arts Shanghai's work in the League of Legends Nendoroids. There's just something about this that looks wrong. I think it's the colors. Even though I know Kai's colors are like this, it just feels wrong. It's a shame. It seems like none of these new League of Legends Nendoroids are gonna be any good. Way earlier in the video, I said I like the Gem series Gaara, but here we have Sasuke and he just looks boring. Surely they could have done something cool with Sasuke instead of him just being like, "Hello, my name's Sasuke Uchiha." Here's another Idolmaster figure, this time by Amiami. We have a strange obsession of doing 1/8 scale figures. I think I'm always going to subconsciously compare all the Idolmaster figures to one another, and since this one doesn't have one of those really cool unique bases, it looks kind of lacking, which is kind of a sad thing because I think the figure itself looks really nice. There's a lot to it. I like the frills in this dress, and like the flower accents on the hair add quite a bit to making it look really pretty. I think if it did have a base or something to add some extra pull factor to this, they could get away with having it be a 1/8 scale, but as it is right now, I feel like it's a hard sell, despite how pretty she is. Where my Rengoku gamers at? I assume like everyone's seen the movie now. This is kind of just a standard Artifacts J, really. I think this works really well compositionally. You have the pointy fire down the bottom here, and then as your eyes go up to Rengoku himself, his cape is sort of doing the same thing as the fire. It seems like there's a ton of shading on Rengoku himself. Might be a bit hard to see, but they're using a very dark brown and a black to give his outfit a bit more depth. I'm kind of concerned since it's more brown than black, he might end up looking more brown than he probably should be. But yeah, I don't mind it. And now for PHAT Company's ST-AR-15. I don't know enough about Girls Frontline to know if the ST-AR is supposed to be Star or if that's like an actual gun. In any case, I really like this figure. I think in a lot of ways it reminds me of Exia from earlier. It has a nice complementary base which lets the colors of the figure really shine and pull through. I think the sculpt as a whole does a really good job of conveying a sense of motion, and also what that base allows the figure to do is rest her feet on it naturally, which both looks good and provides a lot of stability. So I'm quite happy with that. I think a lot of these Girls Frontline figures do seem to turn out pretty well, or at least the prototypes look pretty good. So yeah, I have hope that PHAT Company can pull it off. Anyway, that's going to be the last figure that we look at for this month. Remember, if you do want to support the channel, make sure you're subscribed and use my CD Japan affiliate link if you want to buy any figures. It's been a lot of fun looking at figures, and I'll catch ya in the next one. Bye.